Hello, everyone. I'm Carl Braun. Welcome to the Professional Development Series from LearnFormula.com, where we discuss issues and challenges in engineering, accounting, and law in the UK, Canada, the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. Today, we're talking with attorney Skylar Schowell about ChatGPT and generative AI in the law practice. Hello, Skylar. Good to see you again, and welcome to the program.
Thanks, Carl. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me on.
I'm very much looking forward to this. I know we've talked offline a little bit about it, and it's a very exciting time to be alive with AI, but it's also going to be very challenging. Before we jump in, though, and start talking about that, can you please tell our viewers about your background and experience?
Sure. I have my own practice in the Washington, D.C. area, and I've been practicing for, almost 20 years now. I've had my own practice for about 12, 13 years, Scholl Ventures and Consulting, PLLC. And much of what I do is to help businesses, entrepreneurs, both for-profit, nonprofit, as well as even down to a freelancer level, to start, change, grow, stay out of trouble. And a lot of my clients are in the tech and creative art, professional side. And so this has been, it's a topic that's near and dear to me. And, one of the things that helps inform what I'm going to say is not only that I've been practicing in the area of intellectual property and technology for years, but several years ago, in order to relate better to my software and technology clients, I, on the side, studied first HTML to get me warmed up, and then some JavaScript and a little Java, and have done some assistant sort of junior software testing and debugging. And the point wasn't to make me a developer or a seasoned vet in that, which I'm not, but it was really to relate to my technology and software clients better. And if nothing else, to get a little bit of a better handle on the jargon.
Yeah, well, it's not all that new, right? I mean, AI has been around for quite some time, but it's been accelerating, I guess, since about 2016. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I would say 2016 is where it came out of sort of, I don't want to say pure science fiction, but became even remotely sort of practical. And then, of course, in the last even 6 months, has certainly accelerated. Yeah, that sounds right. I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's Siri, right? I have an iPhone. I don't know what the name is for Google phones or whatever, but Siri is AI. Siri sometimes can be a little dumb, right? So AI is not perfect. You ask for directions to get to your local grocery store, and it sends you to Buffalo Wild Wings in Orlando, Florida. That's actually happened to me. That's a real world example. And so you just never know what you're going to get from it sometimes. And with the law practice, if you go with AI and you take it verbatim, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble, because it will actually go out there and create cases that don't exist. And I've seen that happen as well.
Yes, it can hallucinate, as they say, right?
Hallucinate? Yeah, that's exactly right. It does hallucinate. And sometimes it acts like it's on Quaaludes, and other times it's speeding along like 1,000 miles an hour. And so you just never know what you're going to get from it. But when it comes to the law, there's been a lot of efforts to regulate generative AI locally, state, federal, international. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So, I would say, I think the real key is to start at a high level, and then we're happy to drill down. But, I think regulators in general, whether that's locally, nationally, or even internationally, to the extent, various countries are working on it, some are, some aren't, it's very much, we know this is important. We don't really understand it. And there's that pacing challenge, right, of the law and legislation in general being behind technology. I mean, that's just a classic theme, not just in the US. And so, there's this idea that we don't want to smother it and the economic potential of it and the innovation. And yet we know there are so many potential issues, whether it's accuracy, tort liability, discrimination and bias, just plain old inaccuracy. Like we said, hallucinating, I think, is the term that most computer science use for, these just bizarre, the computer doesn't have the context, right, to know really what's facts. It doesn't have that. So there's been a lot of attempts and beeping and gnashing of teeth and machinations to regulate. And I think there's some that are particularly interesting. So, quite frankly, there's not much legislation in place that directly is a bullseye as far as AI, but there's some things that are at least peripheral. And one of the things I think is the most interesting is that the New York City bias audit law, it's also known as Local Law 144, And so the upshot of that is that as of, I believe it's the middle of April this year, companies are prohibited from using automated tools to hire candidates or promote employees unless those tools have been independently audited for bias. And, so it's a real test case for New York City, how that'll work out. And it's one of the first, if not the first, of that kind of scale and impact to be put forward in the U.S. Because at the national level, we have Chuck Schumer in the Senate, really working on pushing things forward, but nothing really quite done yet. So that'll definitely be one to watch as far as, the United States.